Robert, Tooley Street. It was your suggestion to have a talk about it, and I'm a little puzzled as to why Tooley Street interests you.
Because I think it's a typical example of what I would call a canyon street from Victorian times. Many survivals of that, and that should be conserved and cherished as part of the inheritance of London for both its historical and cultural reasons, as it represents London at the height of empire in the 19th century, its commercial element, but also because of its value for modern life as a form of townscape. It's hard, it's highly decorated architecture, it's polychromatic, lots and lots of colour, lots and lots of use of brick, lots and lots of use of stone, as opposed to glass, as opposed to 20th century materials.
And what do you think has in fact happened to it over the last 30 years?
Increasingly it's become opened up, Potter's Field and that end.
So that you've lost the street enclosure.
So we've lost the street enclosure, and the form of building that's been substituted is different in terms of materiality, the glazing that I referred to, but also in terms of its floor space, much larger floor spaces, and so one's losing the variety of floor space, which allowed a whole range of uses and allowed much more flexibility in terms of letting or freehold or whatever, in terms of use, and in terms of flexibility of housing through retail to commercial and indeed industrial and artisan.
So that's Jane Jacobs' point, that we're moving from mixed use backwards towards a kind of monoculture of offices.
Yes. Other thing is the attention to floorscape.
The actual streetscape
which
design.
Is perhaps much more what one might call young girl concerns in terms of curb heights, in terms of...
What about the curb heights?
Too high. In terms of ease of access to buildings, in terms of the usage of the buildings. There are now lots of blank frontages opposed to buildings that you can go in or see shop fronts, and also the whole question of vehicle dominance. Far more vehicles are going up and down Tooley Street than there were. We've lost a tram in the early 1950s, which provided a discipline, and what is happening is that the street pedestrian population has increased, the street cycle usage has increased, but they've not been accommodated. Cycling, awful place to cycle, particularly as you approach London Bridge.
Yes.
Yeah. I hope you've got lots of shots of that. But it's very, very crowded at peak times, incredibly crowded by London Bridge.
So are you arguing that it should be a shared street like Exhibition Road?
Much more like Exhibition Road. Yes, we need delivery vehicles, particularly from the north side. It's the only way in. But we need to change the balance between vehicles and pedestrians and cyclists.
And what about planting?
Allow opportunity for all, not dominance by one, not dominance by vehicles. 2
points about the planting. I assume that 50 years ago there was hardly any, whereas there's now probably more. And so do you think that that's right? And do you think there ought to be even more?
And I'm not sure that 50 years ago there wasn't more. There were street trees in parts.
There is one big plane tree there still that must have been there for a long time.
I think that could be debated, but it might well be right. And then there's small things like that green wall that you showed me earlier on today. And I've got no objection to more greening, preferably not artificial greening, which is highly unsustainable, potable water and so on.
You're criticising the green wall because it looks green, but it's using energy and it's using tap water probably.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me like what you're asking for is to preserve the spatial enclosure. Conserve the spatial enclosure.
Not in aspect, as a living thing.
And improve the streetscape design and make it a shared street with much more emphasis on pedestrians and cyclists than at present.
Radically reorganise the street design, lose pedestrian dominance.
Lose vehicular dominance.
I do apologise. Lose vehicular dominance and accommodate the multiple of users who are the pedestrians and increasingly the cyclists, while still allowing and encouraging disabled access. So lower curbs, no curbs where appropriate, and ease of access into buildings.
It is.
Would be very good to have places of urban calm, urban quiet in London, and it's very difficult to achieve that.
Can you tell that pilot to get the hell out of sound recording?